He's been hacked or spammed or something.
Yeah, don't ever answer anything.
Yeah, I don't even answer.
I never even
You don't even really have email, do you?
Hey, try not to cause any trouble.
All right. Brings Drake up to big time.
We decided it was your fault. He goes, right now, I'm blaming what he's doing.
All right. What's your trip going?
I know.
She was really nice. Ashley, still 4. She teaches. Yeah.
Being filmed.
Least favorite thing to do. Oh, no way.
Only battery. Shot. Take care of himself. How long? I had to go.
Yeah,
3 years.
I didn't know how.
So you guys might have to office.
Oh, yeah, I know. And you're gone. And he found the monster.
You gotta go rub your hands under all that.
Draining my battery, that's where my battery was going down. Right?
Well, dead cell battery.
Oh, heavy, heavier 7 miles an hour. Had a couple of kids. I think she lived in the apartment. They charged me on the way. You were probably only need that.
Yeah.
I got along with it fairly well with her. Yeah, she ended up going, working for another company, living there a while. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna call the meeting to order. Nate?
Present.
Harley?
Here.
Rick? Here. John?
Here.
Kevin?
Here.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, I need a motion for the consent agenda.
So moved.
Motion to have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public input, this is a time and place for discussion items not already on the agenda with a time limit of 3 minutes each. Discussion and possible action in reference to well pay estimate number 1 to Wendler Incorporated. Dave, are you on? Can you hear us?
I am, yes. So these next 2 items, they submitted a pay estimate, one, then they followed up with a second one. This is largely for materials submittals. They send in the information for us to review as part of their general services. It also covers part of their bond and a little bit of mobilization. That's all covered in that general services number that they submit to us. So we've looked at about 50 shop drawings on this building already. They've already started the controls integration, working on those drawings and fabrication. So a lot of this is obviously not on site, but work in the background that's taking place. So I recommend approval of both these estimates.
Any questions for Dave?
No.
Any motion?
Move to approve.
A motion to approve, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion and possible action in reference to well 5, pay estimate number 2 to Wendler Incorporated for $44,086.50. Dave?
Yeah, same comment as previous. This is pay estimate that they followed up with after they had submitted the first one. So we generally combine these two, but due to the timing, I'd already submitted one of those.
Motion to approve the second pay estimate.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Discussion and possible action in reference to Alliant Energy franchise fees.
All right, so this came up during budget discussions
You can come up here.
from CDG, and Mike Wagner is here from Alliant Energy, and there's a lot of information in your packet in reference to franchise fees, and Mike's here to go over that with you.
Standing. I've got just a couple of things I can tell you about franchise fees. If you've got questions along the way, just let me know and we can, make this kind of a conversation. Franchise fees were invented and created to help cities manage the costs of our relationship, to manage the costs of managing the different people that you have franchise agreements with, like utilities. There's a massive list of them in the Iowa code. I think it even says trolley car. So there's quite a lot of things. Cable companies are typically the other ones right now that may have franchise agreements. And it's meant to generate a fee or a pool of money that the city can use, that if there's expenses that are occur between the city and the utility, that those expenses can come out of that fund. So an example would be, is that some towns might want to charge us a permit fee to dig a pole or part of a work project. Billing us as a company, we then basically have all of our customers wind up paying for it. So if there's community-specific costs, those tend to come out of franchise fees because that money is collected from the community. So that was kind of the impetus for it initially. But another factor of that is that you're not going to go through all that money in 1 year. So the legislature has listed several things, and if you, there's a thing here called the revenue purpose statement here. It looks like that. If you look at there, I through J are all of the allowable uses for things that you can spend the leftover money on. And what a lot of towns have turned to as there have been changes to property taxes, they've turned to this franchise fee as a way to fill the gaps. And they've taken a couple different approaches. They look at it as, let's approve this revenue purpose statement with all of those allowable uses in there. And then that way, when it comes time to pay bills, we have the option of going, okay, we can pay from the general fund or we can pay from the franchise fee fund. Some towns, especially if they start to get toward the higher end of the state allows you to set a franchise fee between 1% and 5%. Some towns, if they're going to go toward that higher end, feel the need to get really specific because people are going to want to know exactly where that money is coming from. They may edit that list down to just 2 or 3 things.
Excuse me, one
Yeah.
thing, with that, is that almost like being on a budget plan, are you saying? That if you're scheduling 5% and we use 3%, is there a, it's like being on a budget, is what I'm asking?
It goes into a fund.
It goes into a fund and it's yours forever. It's not in a gotta spend it all by the end of the year.
Okay,
kind of
okay,
thing.
and
Yeah.
it's,
Yeah.
it's just.
And a lot of towns really don't ever charge us a fee for any work that we do, so it all basically becomes for the allowable uses. Because approving the revenue purpose statement really is one of the first big actions that you take if you want to add a franchise fee, because you have to tell everybody where all the money's going. You really don't need to decide on the percentage almost all the way up until you vote on it, because you could say, I move that we approve a franchise agreement with Alliant Energy with a 2% franchise fee. So you could have those discussions all along. You wouldn't necessarily need to decide that percentage right away. The first thing is really just to decide where you want to spend it. Because like I have some towns that are looking at this for, it's money that's in the right of, because they have projects in the right of way, sidewalks, road projects, patch projects. A lot of towns are also turning to it to pay their bill with the sheriff because they don't have their own local police department.
And of course, you would have your own suggestions for our city.
Well, actually, this is your fee, this isn't mine, so you guys get to decide exactly how you want to spend the money. I just collect it and give it to you. The money sits in a non-interest bearing escrow account, and then we give the money to the city 4 times a year. It's paid in January, April, July, and October. You get 4 payments, so if you're looking at any of the estimates that I gave you, divide those by 4, and that's how the payments are paid out.
The other thing to remember too is that these payments are charged against energy use. So a couple of years ago, I think it was 2-3 years ago, we had a really moderate summer and a really moderate winter. Energy use was down, so your franchise fee amount is not going to be that big because it's a percentage of the bills. If you have a really, really hot summer and a really, really cold winter, then energy use is going to be up and the franchise fee amounts will be up. So the amounts that I give you for the estimates are, well, they're calculated down to the penny, are really just dollar amounts that kind of get you in the ballpark of what to expect, but your actual mileage will vary. The big thing that makes a franchise fee attractive to a lot of towns is that according to the state code, you can either have a franchise fee on a bill or a local option sales tax on a bill. You can't have both. And what often happens is that with a 1% local option sales tax, you may be paying in $10,000 off utility bills, just to pull a number out of the air. But your percentage of that you're going to get back, you're not going to get back the full $10,000 because it's based on your population percentage. You might get a third of that back or a fourth of that back. I have some smaller towns that are really small that they may pay in that much, but they only get like $50 back. So for a lot of towns, at the minimum, a 1% franchise fee is attractive because for the most part, everybody is still paying the same amount that they're currently paying with a 1% loss. You just get to keep all the money rather than getting a small percentage of it back. The challenge with a franchise fee, and what might require some lobbying on your part if you decide to move forward with one, is that a franchise fee is paid by all customers, even the post office. So you may have some larger industries in town, and I'm sure your water bill list would probably be a great way to figure it out, who are in that tax-free status because some part of their business or some part of their group is tax-free. That tax-free waiver on local option sales tax doesn't apply to a franchise fee because it's more or less a use charge. So you may have people that currently aren't paying the loss that will have to pay the franchise fee because everybody pays it except the city. So that tends to be something that will come to your attention if you start to move toward the higher end of that scale. You might start hearing from people who are heavy energy users who are going to tell you how much it's going to increase their bill. That's really kind of the biggest nuance with the franchise fee over the local option sales tax. When you look at it as replacing a local option sales tax, at the 1% level, you're getting more of that same money back that most folks are already paying into it. When you start to get toward the higher end of it, then folks who may have had tax-free status may start having to pay more than they're normally used to paying. And I usually tell folks to check their water sewer bills for that list of who's tax-free or tax-exempt. I know a lot of times we make assumptions as to who really is tax-free, tax-exempt, and it just doesn't, the list isn't quite as big as you often think it is. But the process is pretty easy. You know, review the revenue purpose statement. The only one that you can't edit out is the first one, and that is inspecting, supervising, and otherwise regulating each franchise approved by the city. And you can't edit that out because that's what a franchise fee is. But all the other ones, if you wanted to leave them all in, you can, or if you want to take them out, you can. The state requires that if you use that money for property tax abatement or property tax relief, that you have to kind of write the percentage of how much of the fee will go directly toward that. Some towns just zero it out because spending money in all those other areas is more or less property tax relief because you're not spending money from the general fund. It just comes down to, you know, where you're going to collect it from, kind of a thing. The revenue purpose statement is approved by a simple resolution, so you're not locked into it. You can change it at any time. You just have to approve it and then publish a notice in the paper or post a notice that it's passed. So it's not anything you're really locked into. I just need a copy with it the first time you do it because I have to submit it to the Iowa Utilities Commission because they have to approve the change to the bill. Yeah.
So let's say we hypothetically did 2% for residential. Can you do like 1% for businesses? Or does it both have to be, everybody has to be the same?
Everybody has to be the same, and that's just because of the way that our tariffs are structured and the way our billing system is structured. I have had some towns that have had official rebate programs where if you're an industry over a certain size, they set up a program, and if you submit your energy bill, the city will refund the money. I know Dubuque has one. I think Keokuk had one, but I think they're getting rid of it. The Dubuque has one that it's an online thing you can read about, or I can send you some more information about it. I know some towns have just had a general city refund policy where like the hospital, the schools, they refund. Some have a formal policy to set it up. It all just kind of depends on how you would want to do that. But we think it's easier if the cities deal with those refunds as opposed to us.
So what's the biggest, smallest city you do?
I'm sorry.
The smallest city that wants to do this?
I've got a whole list. I think I sent it to you. I can double check the
There's
list.
a whole laundry list of them in there already.
Most cities in Iowa are doing this already?
A lot of them are doing it. I've got more of them. About 9 towns' franchise agreements are up for renewal. Many of them are looking at franchise fees, but I also have about 20 other towns that.
Well, I like that idea of 1 or 2%, that people aren't really gonna notice that quite so much. And it's negotiable that it doesn't run out, it just stays into the fund, is what I'm understanding.
Right, you would collect that money and then it would stay in there. You know, I would say when I started doing this about 3-4 years ago, most of the towns were in the 1 to 3%, and I had a couple that were in the 4s and 5s. And I'm having more towns now that are starting at the 2, 3, 4s, and some of them that are automatically going to the 5s. You know, it depends though, because I mean, that's the other thing that you've got to realize is we have electric service here, and we have natural gas service here. If you did it on one, or if you did it on both, you know, I mean, I had a town that tried to do a 5% franchise fee on electric and a 5% franchise fee on natural gas, essentially raised people's utility bills 10%. And the citizens called for an election, and it was voted down almost before the mayor could sign it.
So what's a normal bill, if you just explain it, like, your electric bill is $250.
So it would be 1% of that. So it comes down to about $1 to $1.50 per 1% that you're adding to a customer's bill, if you think about it that way. So a 2% franchise fee could add anywhere from around $2 to a bill.
How
Yeah.
more?
Yeah, because it's for the monthly bill. So it's 1%, so it's kind of a smaller amount. And that's why really when you look at the distribution, usually residential customers may make up the bulk of a franchise fee that is collected by a town. But when you look at the amount of franchise fee that's collected per customer, it's going to be your commercial and industrial customers that are probably going to pay more as a percentage of their utility bill, just because they use more electricity or more natural gas than.
Well, I was just thinking of, you know, we got a lot of elderly people that, on fixed incomes and stuff like that, so that's why I asked that. Now, it says it's good for 25 years.
Well, the franchise agreement is for 25 years, but then again, that is something that you can amend and change. You know, really because right now your current franchise agreement doesn't have franchise fee language in it, so we need to get a new franchise agreement to put that wording in there because it's a substantive change to the agreement. But once that fee is in there, if you guys later go, we should change this and dial this down, or we should dial this up, you can. I've had some towns too that are also considering ramping it up, where they do like a 2-year or 3-year ramp, where it starts at 1%, then it goes to 2%, then it goes to 3%. So that's also another option that we can help you with if it's something that you want to think about as well.
So, my last question is, so you're telling me that you're gonna divvy up the money 4 times a year,
Right, it's paid quarterly,
quarterly? And what's in it for you?
nothing.
Why not?
Because it's a fee that the state allows you to charge on our utility bills. So we used to charge a processing fee. I think that was basically just back in the pen and paper days. But now that everything is electronic, we collect it and we turn around and we give it to you. I mean, we're required to, it's your fee, I mean, really, because that's what it comes down to. You tell me you want the fee, and then I help you put it on the bill. So, yeah, yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, it's a bank, you'd be better off to charge the fee and put it in the bank as an interest rate.
Just to be clear, if it was 1%, there'd be no increase to the customer, right?
Unless they were somebody that had a tax exempt status.
But the average citizen.
Right, I mean, with I think we figure for the residential customer, it's about $1, yeah, it's $1.50 per 1%,
Yeah.
you know.
And The only difference would be is we would get that penny rather than only get a quarter of the penny.
Correct.
That's on the loss tax,
Yeah,
yes.
so lost is currently on the bill
Yeah,
At 1%.
at 1%. And if
Yeah.
we invoke a franchise fee,
it'll go
the
away.
bill stays the same.
Yeah,
And we get 100% of the franchise fee money versus a fraction of the lost money. So yeah,
that's kind of a no-brainer for me.
the 1% is for me too.
What's happening right now is the people that have the franchise fees, they're getting a franchise fee in their own town, and then they're taking a portion of our lost money for the Alliant bill. So they're getting double, you know, they're getting some of our Alliant money right now, whereas if you did 1%, no bill would increase other than the tax exempt status, and we would get all that money.
Yeah, and it's $1.50 on electric, and I think it's $1 on natural gas. So if you put it in both, that would be kind of where how that increase would be felt. But that's for residential customers only. Just due to the very ways and the commercial and industrial accounts are set up, I don't have an easy way to calculate how much it would cost your average commercial customer or industrial customer. So yeah, so I mean, really, the process is pretty simple from an accounting standpoint. Once you decide you want to move through with it, you would vote to pass the revenue purpose statement after discussing how you wanted it. You have to publish a notice to say, you know, this is what we're doing. Typically at that meeting, folks will also schedule the public hearing for the next meeting. And that way, so the public notices in the paper, show the public that you're considering this, and also explain what you're going to pay or how you're going to spend it. And then at the next meeting, you would hold a public hearing and then vote on it. And then after that, it would be following your rules for the second and third votes, whether you could collapse them or waive them, or whether your rules require you to have 3 votes at 3 separate times, or whether you folks would decide that you would want to do that. And then after that, I have a whole bunch of paperwork to trade with the clerk. We have to file with the Iowa Utilities Commission, and they get about a month to review it, and then after that, then it just starts on the next bill right after the Utilities Commission approves it. And their approval is really just making sure all the paperwork is in effect, because if we're going to change something on how we charge bills.
So you're saying this will all take effect within a 30-day billing period?
I would say depending on how fast you move, and then if we hit all the internal deadlines, it's about 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
Yeah. And that first month, it would be more or less prorated, and then we would pay out. Because we pay it, I mean, I just told you it was January, April, July, and October, but it's the end of the month, following the month at the end of the quarter, but that's often too difficult to figure out.
Yeah.
Carry the one, I'll just give you the actual months and tell you.
No, that's fine.
And those payment amounts will vary too, because, you know, there's times in January and, you know, times in July where people might be using a lot of electricity, but in the spring and the fall and Q2 and Q3, people may not be using that much electricity because it's kind of cooler out. So it isn't quite divided by 4 kind of thing. But, you know, once you kind of get that wording in there, this is really just passing an ordinance, the franchise agreement is. So it's if you want to change it in the future, we would just wind up amending the ordinance once we have the wording in there. I think you guys are coming, I can't remember what the date was when your franchise agreement currently is supposed to expire. I think you're more than halfway through the current one. I'll have to double check. The new franchise agreement, we've listened to the towns as we've been going through, as I go through and renew them each year. Some franchise agreements are just for 25 years. This one is more or less a 10 and a 15. So there are opportunities and clauses in there to give the cities, I think, a little bit more flexibility, as opposed to it feeling like you're buying a house and you're stuck with it for 25 years kind of a thing. So as you read through the samples, I can also talk with you about that. And then I would also say somewhere in there, work with your city attorney kind of earlier on in the process. Nothing can kind of stymie this process, is that we kind of figure everything out, and you tell me what you want to do, you tell me the franchise agreement looks good, and then we get it to the lawyer, and the lawyer wants to rewrite the whole thing. So I think it's often good to kind of get it to your lawyer kind of on the earlier end of things. But yeah, I mean, really the conversation for you folks too is, we have an existing franchise agreement with you. There's no pressing urge to add a franchise fee unless you folks would want to add a franchise fee, in the sense that you don't have to renew the franchise agreement right now. There's a good 10 plus years on the one that you already have in place, I think. So Really, it's more for a matter of you guys kind of looking at your budgets and deciding what you want to do and if this is the direction you want to go.
Yeah, and what's our percentage right now? They said it's gonna be good for another 10 years, is it
We
1%?
don't get anything from it.
Yeah, right now you don't have a franchise fee.
Okay,
We just collect that portion of the loss.
oh, okay.
So, and I think I sent,
For taxes, right?
What's that?
When we do the loss funds taxes.
So on the bills right now, there's a 1% loss that the customer's paying now. With the franchise fee, if you did 1%, the bills wouldn't change. Instead of getting a portion of the loss, we'd get 100% of that 1%.
right, and the local option sales tax would stay in place for everything else in town.
Yeah,
We're just talking
everything's
about
lost, it'd
utilities.
Just be,
Just on the line.
just on the
Yeah,
line.
yep.
So what kind of projects, say franchisees?
Yeah, you didn't,
would
so that would be what you guys would
That's on
determine.
purpose.
So, like, for an example, I put down water, sewer, roads, infrastructure, economic development, and Main Street.
Even though you bonded for them, you can still use that to pay them bond?
Because what you're doing is you're using this as like property tax relief, so instead of raising taxes or that type of thing, what this does is, this isn't always, usually everything hits the property owners, where this is getting everybody, like your apartment, land, you know,
It's good.
your houses that are
Right,
being
energy
rented.
users.
And then what this does is then you wouldn't have to bond, so if, let's say, for instance, Washington Street, if we have enough saved up in there to do that, we don't have to bond and then raise our debt capacity to do it, we can save up the money within here to do it.
And Raleigh, you said something about 30 days, it's gonna take longer.
I would say July 1
Look
would
at
be
by
actually-
July.
Yeah, 2 or 3 months, yeah.
Because there's a lot that has to go on, but I think tonight, if you want me to work on the statement for the next meeting, the purpose, then you guys can determine what all you want to add into that. If you want to see something else into that, then you just let me know, and we add that to this, or if you want to say, no, I don't want that, we're crossing that off and we're going to add this.
It's just what's in here, those are the only ones you can choose from.
Correct.
So it's editing in, editing out, you can't add anything
Correct.
other than these, but it's just, these are all the ways that the state says you can spend the money.
Yep.
So do we need to make a motion for you
Well,
to start out?
I'm thinking 2%, you don't want
Well,
to start out
we won't
1%
even-
and keep
we're not
jumping.
even-
You don't have to do that right now, you just have, if this is something you're interested in.
What we're gonna do is tell Brandon to move forward with
Yes,
this.
okay.
We'll also
Yeah.
set a public, at the next meeting, we'll have to set a public hearing.
That way people are for or against it.
After that.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's
No
something
problem,
good.
yeah, and I'm more than happy to help, more than happy to come back and have another conversation, or I could, chat with your city manager about any other questions you might have.
Yeah,
Like I said, it's more or less passing an ordinance, it's just kind of making a few decisions and then kind of walking your way through it.
well, thank you very much.
All right, no problem, thank you folks.
So do we have a motion to have Brandon move forward with this?
Make a motion to have Brandon move forward.
I'll second that one.
Okay, so Brandon, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So do that at the next meeting, Brandon have it ready, and then should we set the public hearing at that meeting too?
I think so, I'll have to get with him on the exact steps.
And I think you should get, like, 1% is nothing, but then what is it gonna be at 2%?
So that's in here.
1% won't be nothing.
No,
It'll be
that's what I said.
100% of what is paid on the bills
Exactly,
will now
but-
come to us.
but
So
I'm
it's actually
saying-
already improved.
I know, I'm saying it would do 2% and then we don't jump it for a little bit, so.
Or I'm all for 1%. I don't know.
Well, 1% is gonna be nothing.
It'll absolutely do. We're
Here's
only
your-
maybe 12% of the
This is
lost
in
money
your
that comes.
screen,
We'll get
that's
100%.
that's what you would get back, profit. It's an estimated, but
There's 1%. There's 2%.
I'm thinking 5%.
Well, I don't think you can
Don't you
get.
need them not getting real numbers?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm only here for the public hearing.
yeah, I'm thinking you can't go 1% and then 2% and then 3%, people.
No, you can't.
like
It
to-
said exactly that. So the people would, we're going to do it instead of hitting people right away with that.
Yeah, I
You
agree.
could gradually build up to it.
Yeah.
But
Exit Street, I'd be.
1% will benefit the community more than and not have any effect on bills.
No, yeah, that's why I say we start 2%, and then we start
Okay, we're done with
making
that.
a little bit of savings, you know.
Discussion and possible action in reference to hiring for summer help.
So this was discussed during our budget meetings. We had allocated for 2 summer help kids. Since that time, we had MediaCom fiber replacement project, which is pretty much all through town. So we're gonna have 2 employees, 30 to 45 days. It's gonna take them to mark out all of our water lines, water shutoffs, and mains. There's gonna be numerous areas of watering, new grass seed, scraping, painting, park mulch, plants downtown, and then we have all the concrete that we're pouring in-house at the sports complex that they can assist as assigned by Travis for that. So the posting is in the packet. I guess I would just look to get that approved.
It says it's for the Parks Department, whatever, are you gonna use, some of it gonna be for Travis's, on that side?
Typically, they share back and forth, depending on what's going on. So like when we've had a lot of projects in concrete, they can be gophers and go do stuff, depending on, you know, how many years they've been here, what they've been involved with. Evan, who's been here several years, he's kind of expanded what he's done based on every year he's getting more familiar with being here. He's looking to come back, even though he's at college. But then there's a second one here. We used to have 3. Last year we went down to 2.
Is 2 gonna be enough this year?
I think so. That's what we budgeted for.
Yeah, because I think we did a lot of big projects, if we remember, we talked about, we did a lot of big projects last year.
Well, go back a second, Brandon. Back to the MediaCom thing. So we have to, out of Hyde, we take a city employee to locate 2 city employees, is what the mayor just showed. And so we're taking that out of Hyde so that MediaCom can lay fiber or do whatever, the cable or whatever it is that they're gonna do.
Correct.
And do they reimburse us for those
Yeah,
wages?
can we bill them for that?
I can check, but I don't believe so.
Why don't they hire their own company to do locating then?
So it's all part of the one call. Every entity who owns that service is required by law to do that. And trust me, there's a lot of towns that this gentleman said is not happy because it's a huge undertaking. Now, what I will tell you, to our benefit, during the water main project and now through this, we're gonna be able to use our GPS system. So we can now GPS all that. So it's not terrible or all bad, but there will be some benefit to it, even though it's way more than, I mean, it's just a lot.
Some of it's already GPS, right?
Some areas are, yeah.
But I mean, we need to GPS everything, it's gotta be done sooner or later,
How many locators you got?
We got 1 locator, 1 metal detector, and then 1 GPS.
So when Mechanicsville, let's say, came through here a couple, 4 or 5 years ago with their fiber optic, did we use city employees to locate? I thought, or
No, we did.
we did?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is
This is,
not unheard of.
no, this is
All right.
standard procedure.
Travis probably gets a printer on his computer every day, the one call thing that says, hey, we need this done by, and it says, it gives you a deadline.
Yeah, so it was awesome when we were doing the water main. Mechanicsville was going and the line gas was going. We were sometimes.
Summer location.
Yeah, sometimes we had, 3 or 4 guys.
All right.
I was gonna
Disregard.
say, if
I'll stand out. I
it's
just didn't see.
working, get you theirs. Same too.
Private industry making money off it.
Same thing. Yeah.
Some utilities hire a company to do the locates. Is that more expensive than having our own people, I assume, or not?
I'd say if you do it yourself, and the reason I say that is because they know where it's at. These guys will know exactly
I
where
would
it's
think
at.
more.
And these guys may be 6 feet off the thing and hit it.
Right.
you know.
I mean, I'm also in favor of us guys doing it that way, we get a GPS, we get it marked.
Yeah.
One
Another
other
company might not
benefit,
even do that, they just might locate it.
one other benefit to this is that it's underground fiber for the vast majority of it, and I don't know if you remember after Duratio, we had lines and wires hanging down for months, and you can't ever get them out here to fix that, so that'll help that. The other thing is Washington Street will be above ground, and I'm okay with that as well, just because those poor people have had their yards disrupted 3 summers in a row, and I didn't really.
So, when they put all this stuff in, are they gonna take lines down? Are they just gonna leave them and say, screw it?
No, they have to take down what's aerial to replace as they're going. And then the other thing we're trying to do too is wherever possible, which is, we made a lot of headway, is we're putting their line opposite of our water main. So it's one less thing that we have to navigate through. But we still have all the private lines and shut-offs that we have to mark, so.
I need a motion to hire someone help.
Make a motion to hire summer help too? Summer?
Do we have a price of what we're gonna pay them, or is it gonna be?
That'll be on the
Experience?
when you guys, we hire them, that'll be on the resolution for hire. But yeah, it goes off their experience and how long they've been here.
I'll second.
Motion by Kevin, second by Nate, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 11/2026, approving utility rates.
So this was, last year, we put that ordinance in effect, so you don't have to do 3 readings. The schedule is based on what Maggie had presented previously. So this is our resolution for the 3% increase for utility rates. You can do it by resolution. This is the second year versus the 3 readings and the ordinance change.
So we staying above the thing, the fees, we're not on that.
We're right, this keeps us where we
Keep it pacing.
Yeah.
Need a motion?
So moved. Second.
A motion, second, Nate,
Aye.
Charlie, Rick, John,
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Public hearing for fiscal year 27 budget.
Need a motion.
Motion to go into public hearing.
A second.
A motion, a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
All right, any questions on anything? This was discussed at the last meeting. This is the final step that we have to do for the state in order to make it official. Nothing's changed since we started this process because there's been so many readings and different things we have to do, so.
Any questions? A motion to go to public hearing,
So moved.
second,
I second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution 12/2026, approving fiscal year 27 budget. Need a motion to approve this?
Motion to approve the budget.
A motion and a second.
Second.
Nate,
Aye.
Riley. Aye. Rick. John.
Aye.
Kevin.
Aye.
Resolution 14/2026, approving paying incentive for certification.
So this is for Jake Siggins. He completed his wastewater grade 1, and he now has all 3 licenses for wastewater. He has 2 in water and 1 in wastewater. So it's what we asked him to do when we hired him, and we finally got the time to get him into class and get it done.
So he is completely certified for the wastewater management then?
He is grade 1 certified.
Okay, and what grade is it?
3.
3?
Yes.
So how many more classes does he get?
He's got to wait now, so it's steps, it's all in years and experience before they'll let him test for his 2. And then same way from 2 to 3, it all depends, so,
Okay. So with 3, we got $1.50 an hour into it.
yes.
Okay. But now he just has to wait.
I think it's 6 months. I
Okay.
have to go back, we were talking about it, I think it's 6 months to a year. He's got to hold those licenses, and then he can start testing again.
Okay.
What's Rodman? Your motion.
Make a motion for pay incentive?
Yeah, I second that.
Make a
Kevin.
motion.
Kevin. Yes, sir. Aye.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Rick. Charlie. Aye. Aye.
Thanks, Kevin. For being with us.
Well, I
Correspondence.
made the motion. That's right.
The motion was enough.
Nothing tonight.
City engineer report.
We had a pre-construction meeting on well 5 last week. Expect the contractor to be in the next week or two and start working on the site. Schedule preliminarily is for them to work on the building, and well would follow around June, where they would work on trying to get that set into existing casing and proceed from there. So should see some activity out there in a few weeks.
Okay, we got anything for Dave? Parks and Rec.
Thanks, Dave.
Alright, we had our spring cleanup on March 28th. It was a huge success. That's just where we have all the kids and families come out, help clean up the ball fields. Travis doesn't want to shout out, but I'm going to give him and Jake both one. They both volunteered their time to come down and help get the leaves picked up. That way they don't blow all over town. So I appreciate them. And then Brian came in and helped as well that day. So I appreciate him for that. We got all the leaves, sticks, garbage, all that stuff picked up, and just to prepare for our high school seasons and our Little League seasons. We had an Easter event on April 4th. It was a success. We did have less kids than normal. It was a little bit colder, so it makes sense. But I just want to thank my board for helping out with that. I think we had like between 20 and 30 kids down there, so it was pretty good. Registrations for summer ball is open, so intro, t-ball, coach pitch, and then 3rd through 6th baseball and softball. The deadline is May 1st for that. So I'll be starting to work on some of that stuff. And then obviously spring soccer's in full swing, as I mentioned before. Although it hasn't seemed like it just because of the weather and stuff, but we're working with it and just trying to make it through. Hoping we don't have to cancel any more games or practices. So other than weather, that's been going good. There will be travel ball games starting over at Diamond 4, so just so everybody's aware of that, there's going to be a lot of traffic coming through town. I've got like 18 games scheduled for travel teams and then a tournament the first weekend in May as well. So brings people to town, so it's a good thing, but just be aware of that. And then the only other thing I have is Brian and I are doing our first pass of mowing this week. We got the majority of it done today, so we'll continue to do that as long as the weather works out. And that's about all I got.
All right, so your cleanup, did you talk with the school about the fence?
I have talked to them and told them that if we are going to leave that fence up, we will have to do a fall cleanup. That's what I was instructed to do by Brandon, so.
Are we gonna do the fall cleanup?
Well, that'll be their responsibility to come out and do it. So I'm sure that's something we're gonna discuss in our meeting when we meet with the school.
Okay.
Otherwise, they'll be expected to take it down. What I will say, there was a lot of leaves along that fence line for sure. It did make it a little bit easier that Saturday because there weren't so many on the backstop, but, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're a great catch, but I mean.
Yeah, I mean, it was good and bad.
We need to look at them for 2 months.
No, I get it. And Travis gave me a couple of guys, I should mention that too. He gave me some guys to help get those cleaned up, and there was a lot of leaves. So Brian and I definitely could not have done it on our own, so I appreciate him allowing a couple of his guys to help out that day. So, yeah.
And also I signed a check today for fertilizer for ball fields. What did they fertilize?
They do the baseball and the softball field.
The ones that the high school puts on?
Correct.
We do the initial one.
We do the initial, the school pays for anything from May 1st to the end of July.
So do we do anything on Diamond 4?
Sometimes he sprays for dandelions and stuff like that, but
I think we've only ever done with grub and weed control.
yeah.
What about soccer fields?
That's something Brandon and I'll have to talk about, putting a plan
We
together.
get, we have a tote we get from the co-op and we bought our own scrubber.
Is you, that tote that we bought from whatever, is that the class that you took to spread that stuff?
I did not take it, Brian took it, and Tony took it, I believe.
Any subject to it.
I'm assuming I will take it at some point here.
So when that comes, done out there, then that should relinquish anything, fertilizing anything out there then, right?
That's what we said, if they wanna do it, they will have to do it. If we pay for it, we'll have to be reimbursed.
So that should probably be what, next year?
We still use Diamond 4 next
We
year.
use Diamond 4, yeah.
Yeah, but that's just grub and
Yeah.
that's minor.
We use all of them when the baseball is not in season, but not all of them. We don't use the high school baseball field, but we use the other three. Softball field, Diamond 4, and then the Little League Diamond in the outfield, the high school baseball
Do you
field.
use Bunnings Field?
Yeah, well, I shouldn't say we as a city, I should say travel teams that pay us to use our facilities.
So, we got a question about that. So how much it costs to use the facilities?
We charge $150 per year per team, and the reason for that is because come May 4th, or whenever the seasons start, we have one diamond that teams can use. So, right now, we're rather cheap. When we move out to the sports complex, it's gonna be a whole different deal, and we're gonna probably do something similar to what Triple Play Park does off of 13 in Mount Vernon Road. They charge by the hour, do stuff by the hour, and charge by the hour on weekends for tournaments and stuff like that, so.
And who keeps track of the hours?
It's just, they reserve it and they say they want the field from 8 AM to 8 PM, so 12 hours, they just charge for 12 hours.
They have a calendar that they have Diamond 1 and they have all the time,
Okay.
just like the school does for Rich
So-
Harris.
Yeah, I'm just wondering.
So if you charge these people for using the field, do you charge the people that wanna give like hitting and pitching lessons and stuff?
At the end of the day, I've always looked at it as it's a public park, so if they, like, I'm not saying we can't charge them, but, I know we have a couple people that do pitching lessons and things like that, and I don't know how I would go about telling them that they can't use a public park for something like that unless they pay.
So could I go out and give golf lessons out in the middle of the baseball field?
I'll let you answer that, Brandon.
I think here you can, but I think that's where you gotta get the rules in place out here, so they're not.
Well, it would be nice to start out with the free will offering. See where that goes.
I'm just saying this, I'm just throwing it out here, that it just amazes me that now, when this new place comes in, we're gonna charge by the hour, that these teams already paid $300-400 to play on a thing that, you know, it's for the kids.
You're not. okay.
We're not even set on charging by the hour, that's just a way you can do it.
So like when you say charge by the hour, so let's say Stensland rents from you.
Yeah.
You're charging him $150 an hour.
No, it'd be a lot less than 150. It'd be a certain rate. It's usually like 25 to 30 bucks an hour.
Okay, you're charging 30, but he's charging 400 to get
Then
into
he's
the
charging
tournament.
$500
Whatever
for
he
a
wants to get
team.
into.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, I should have been clear. Not $150 an hour, no.
We didn't know you still can't hit golf balls out there.
We have had people do that before.
Anybody else got anything for Greg?
You know, you can still fly remote control airplanes out there, right?
You can.
Library.
Elizabeth, do you have anything?
Yeah, so I told you guys previously that we had applied for a grant from the American Library Association, and we just recently found out we did get that grant, so we've got $10,000 to spend on accessibility improvements in the library. And we'll be putting in an automatic door opener and then various other things. We had 2 successful spring break programs for children. We had close to 50 kids or 50 people attend each of those. We recently got a donation from a Des Moines woman. She passed away and donated her money to hundreds of libraries around the state. So we got $1,000 from her estate. We've just started a Spring into Health series for adults in the city. So we're in week 3. This is week 4 of an 8-week program. I've had about 12 people attend each week, so I'm really happy with the turnout. It's at 11 o'clock on Wednesdays. We do a cooking demo, and then we take a walk together. You guys approved a new board member, or appointed a new board member to the library board recently, so we have a new board member. She's completed her training for open meetings, and we're also going to be submitting a second application for an additional board seat for the next meeting, at the end of the month. That is because we lost one person, she moved out of town, and then the second person had to step down because she was not within the city limits or county limits. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned this last month, but Travis's group team did a really, really good job getting all of the different improvements made in the library building, like various projects in the library building, including putting in a fireplace, and we've now got that painted. So if anybody wants to come see it, it's almost done. We just got to put the names of our donors on it. So that's Phyllis and Howard Sheeha. So we're going to paint their name on a plaque on the fireplace, and then it'll be done, and we'll host a gathering to celebrate the donation and the improvement.
We got anything for Elizabeth? Thank you.
Thanks.
Police Department, Jason.
Steve and Grom are back to work. They completed their training from Forest City, so they are back on the streets. Speaking of, we'll have the K9 golf outing is scheduled for June 26th, so just to kind of save the date for that. Officer Mackey graduates next Friday, from the ILEA. We have then Morgan and Monet, 2 other officers that will be getting sworn in next Monday. Monet is going to go in to the August Academy. Then I'll have Morgan Kelly and David Frankfurt leaving for the Academy May 4th. So, lots going on with the employees.
Are you full now?
Yes.
Once they get through their schooling, they'll be full.
Close, yes.
That might be your house burned down, you just close it real quick. If it's Bill staff, don't do it. Jeez. Is there anything for Jason?
Just one thing. I noticed from the police report, which was typical, there were 5 accidents, 4 were in Mount Vernon, only 1 in Lisbon. Are we better drivers over here, or are the hills presenting a problem over there?
I don't know. I mean, it's just the size of town, you know, and a couple of those were in the roundabout in Mount Vernon. So, I mean, really, it's pretty standard for between the two towns.
Yeah.
So.
Well, thank you for your monthly reports.
Ambulance.
I don't have anything for him tonight, or Chief. Thanks to everybody who's donated for the St. Patrick's Day fundraiser event. We're close to $10,000 raised for that. We'll be purchasing an air pack with those funds, so appreciate everybody who's given there. That's all I have. Oh, and the siren, you probably noticed the new whistle's back. That encoder is back and replaced, and I've received about 10 different notes or people thanking me that the new whistle's back, so.
Oh, I like that too.
We got anything for Fire Chief? City Administrator?
I attended the CDG Executive Board meeting last week. We are working with a potential builder for approximately 16 acres out in the industrial park, potential factory. So can't really go into much detail on that yet, but we're working with the family who owns the property that's they want to build on. So hopefully we'll have some news with that here in the not too distant future. I attended the Iowa Employment HR Conference and went through my mandatory training on recognizing drug and alcohol use that's now required for CDL operators and those who supervise them. Dave's mentioned about the well 5 pre-con meeting, went well. Started off on a good foot with contractors, so we got the road, the lane rocked going into there for them. Still working on about 7 nuisances that are going to go out this week. I have 3 houses that I'm working on currently. I'm happy to report the one on West Main Street, we did receive a demo permit for that, so the new owner from the sheriff's sale will be taking care of that one. I'm hoping to put 2 houses on the 2 lots there, so look forward to that. Sports complex are going to be starting as soon as the weather straightens out. I also have been working with Musco on at least trying to purchase the bases for the concrete for the poles if we decide to go that route. It'd be nice to get those in the ground before we seed everything down so we're not tearing it back up later. But we'll talk about that at the next meeting. Travis has gone through and they started doing the seeding at the cemetery, and we're going to go around to where the plows kicked up the dirt this winter. Seeding windows open through May, so we'll be doing that. Water is now on at the pavilions. Restrooms are getting cleaned tomorrow, and they will be open hopefully for soccer tomorrow. And the school has reached out. They would like to do a joint meeting Monday, the 27th of April, which is the next meeting we have. They want to do that meeting at 6, and then we'll have a regular council meeting at 7. Does that work for you guys? Otherwise, we'll have to do it sometime in May.
Do we hear?
Are they scheduling a full hour?
What?
Are they scheduling a full hour that they need?
They can't go over that because obviously our
No,
meeting's
exactly.
They usually take half hour, 45 minutes, then people take a break and then come back for a regular meeting.
Okay.
Works for me.
Yeah, me too.
Good.
Rick, you good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm good with that, thanks.
That's all I got.
How about Kiki's? What's the standing with that?
I'm actually, we called, ever since December 9th. They've been MIA. I think it kind of correlates with some of the national activities that are going on.
Kiki's.
And so he was going to give her a month per their contract. However, there's another gentleman that is also interested in it as well, kind of along the same line. So hopefully here in a month we'll have some answers. But it looks nice in there. They've done a lot of work, and she's just
So it's just an item.
yeah. So and nobody's heard from her since the 9th of December.
Anybody else, anything, Brandon? Did I skip you, Travis?
The ice can get pretty cold.
Yes, you
I
did.
think I did.
Yeah, he said a lot of stuff, so don't worry about it.
Travis, you got anything? We'll go wait for you.
No.
We're gonna wait for you till you tell us. You got a list right there.
No, he got everything.
Yeah, Travis, yeah, if you wouldn't mind taking a look at that then,
Yep.
I appreciate it.
Nate,
I don't have anything.
Ronnie,
Nope, I'm good.
Rick,
Nope.
John?
I went to that library meeting they had at 11 on Wednesday, and they're having that through into May. I thought it was very good. There was a dozen of us there. They did a warm-up by walking around the block, and then a 10-minute walk after that. The warm-up was enough to tell me how out of shape I am, so it was a good program. That's all I have.
Kevin?
Nothing.
I don't have anything. We adjourned. I think it's been talked about today, that's why I skipped.
We just did a marathon.
We're good.